This video is sponsored by Pixlr. Hey guys, what's up? I am Nikhil from dopemotions.com and welcome to this brand new After Effects tutorial. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to create this cool and dynamic looking glitch text animation inside of After Effects using some very cool and creative techniques. So without wasting any time, let's straight away jump into After Effects and get started. Alright guys, so here we are in After Effects. So before I start this tutorial, I want you guys to download two things. First is the Displacement application, using which you can generate these kind of black and white maps, which is super awesome, and this application is absolutely free. Link to this application is in the description below, so you can download it if you want to, or you can simply download the free project file of this tutorial where you will get this map that I just showed. So using this app is really easy. I'm going to quickly give you guys an overview. Go right here and there we have five different options to select from. So I personally like to go with the Displacement Classic, and all I have to do is hit R, the hotkey, and it's gonna generate a really random glitch map. And there are a number of different things that you can do here. I'm not gonna go too deep into this, but the main controllers according to me are the iteration and the background brightness. So I always like to keep it all the way up to 2000, and it's gonna generate some very nice map. You can also jump into the Displacement 2 and the crab pack, and using this you can generate some very high detail maps. So as you can see right over here, all you have to do is play around with the values and have fun with this and generate a very cool texture. But if you don't want to do that, you can anytime just download the free project file and you have this map that I'm going to use for this tutorial. And number two is the free plugin called the Displacer, which is a free plugin for After Effects made by Plugin and Everything, link to which is in the description below. So with that out of the way, let's now start with the tutorial. So I'm going to start with creating a new composition called this render as our main render comp. Let's set this to 1920 by 1080, that is full HD and 30 FPS, 10 seconds long. Hit OK. Then I'm going to create a new composition called this text. You can also use a logo if you want to. I'm just going to use a simple text. Select the text tool and type in glitch. Let's increase the size and make it full caps. And for the font, I'm gonna use a Euro style, but this time I'm gonna use a Euro style LT bold, which is a very thick font. I set the spacing to 0. All right, now let's duplicate this. So hit Ctrl D. So now we have text 2, and for this one I'm gonna use a thinner font, so Euro style, and let's go with something like this one. Maybe I'll increase the spacing a little bit and increase the size to around 260. So that is looking good. Make sure to align this into the center properly. Then I'm going to create a new composition called this texture. Hit OK and drag and drop in the map that I have right over here. Hit S and bring down the scale just like so. Then I'm going to pre-comp this. Hit Ctrl Shift C. We can call it whatever that we want. Make sure to click on move all attributes, and I'm going to call this map. Hit OK. And then on this composition, I will be using a very cool effect called Vegas. So double click to apply that, and let's change the blending mode of this to transparent, so we get this really cool map. As you can see, let's set this to full, and I'm going to change this to a nice white color. Let's bring down these segments to 5. And yeah, everything else looks good. We can animate the rotation like that. So I'm going to use a very simple expression for this. Hold Alt and click on the stopwatch of the rotation and type in time into, let's go with 25. So it's going to keep on rotating. I'm going to turn on the random face. So if I preview this now, you can see we have this random animations going on. And you can also change the randomized seed just to get a different look. So I think this looks pretty good. I'm going to jump into the map maybe, and we can change the position of this map. And also what I'm going to do is add a level to this. So let's go into effects and preset and search for levels effect, apply that, and let's bring them closer just to increase the contrast in the map so that we get a very nice look here in the Vegas. All right, let's duplicate this, hit Control D, and then let's delete the Vegas effect from this one. All right, let's duplicate this one, hit Control D, and I will be adding a CC starburst on this one. We can solo this up so we can see what's going on here. First of all, let's set the scatter amount to 0, set the speed to 0, and I'm going to increase the grid spacing to 5. We can bring down the size a bit. We can increase the size if I want to. And if I increase this, we get this really nice and dotted look, which looks pretty cool. But I like to keep this as at 0 and set the size to around 70 should be fine. And now we have a really nice animated texture. Looks pretty nice, and this is gonna serve as our glitch map. So now let's go back into our render composition. Let's drop the text layer, and then below that I'm gonna drop the texture that we have just created. Hit F4 and let's change the track matte of this to alpha matte, so we have this really cool look. Let's set this to full so we can see what's going on here. And just to add another level of detail, what I'm going to do is select both of these layers, hit Control D to duplicate it, select the texture, go into effects and preset and search for fine edges, double click to apply that, invert that and change the blending mode of this to screen. So now we have another level of a detail and animation going on right over here, which is looking super cool, I think. One more thing I would like to do here is to animate the text. So let's go right here in the animate property and add an opacity. And also I'm going to add a tracking. All right, so let's animate the tracking first. I'm going to go to 1 second and 15 frames. So let's go to 1 second and 10 frames probably. Create a keyframe on the tracking, go back and set this to somewhere around like that. Then set the opacity to 0, go into the range selector and create a keyframe on the offset, go at 1 second and 10 frames and set this to 100. Then go into the advanced property and just turn on the randomize order. So now we have something like this, which looks pretty cool and simple. But now when we add Displacer Pro on this, it's gonna look epic. Trust me when I say this. Now, before I proceed further with this tutorial, I just want to take a minute and talk about our today's sponsor, Pixlr X. Pixlr X is an online photo editor which is super easy to use because of its minimal layout. You can edit your photos, apply cool filters, add text, and even do color correction in just a few clicks. Pixlr X also offers many free templates that you can directly select and start editing. It also offers amazing features like animating your designs with built-in animation presets. Focus Studio inside of Pixlr X allows you to add focal point to your images and create beautiful bokeh effects. Create dramatic effects with Distortion Studio and easily create glitch effects with Glitch Studio in Pixlr X. So I will definitely recommend you guys to go ahead and check out Pixlr X by clicking on the first link in the description below. So first of all, let's create a new adjustment layer here. Call this Displace. Go into effects and presets and search for Displacer Pro. This is a very cool plugin and you should definitely try this out, and it's absolutely free. So let's change the map layer from none to texture. And now there are a number of different properties that we can play around with. The most interesting one is the transform. So we can create some really dynamic looking, glitches and stuff. And it's going to look super awesome once we start playing around with this property. So let's set everything back to 0. Set the scale to 100. Make sure to set the anchor X and anchor Y to 50%. And now if I animate the scale, you can see, let's go right here, we get a really cool glitch look, which is pretty interesting, right? We can create some really abstract stuff using this. So let's go ahead and create something. It's really overwhelming to use this effect. Anyway, so let's start from zero first. Let's animate the scale property. So I'm gonna place my time indicator at this start at 0 frames and create a keyframe on the scale. So let's go ahead and create a keyframe. So as you can see, it's a normal keyframe. Now I want to turn this keyframe into a hold keyframe. So to do that, I'm going to hold Alt and Control at the same time and click on this keyframe. So it's going to switch to hold keyframe. Then let's change the value of scale to 120. Let's zoom into our timeline a bit. I'll go to 15 frames probably and set this back to 100. Then jump a few frames, maybe 3 frames. So 1, 2, 3 by hitting page down, and set this to 85. Jump again 3 frames forward, 1, 2, 3. Set this to 110. Again jump 3 frames forward, 1, 2, 3. Set this back to 100. Then let's go to 1 second and set this to somewhere around 80. Alright, so right now it looks pretty abstract, I know, but we're gonna make it look a bit more cooler. So now once the scale animation is done, let's focus on the translate X and translate Y. So I'll go to somewhere around 18 frames or so. Let's create a keyframe on the translate X and Y. Again, hold Control and Alt to, first of all, let's hit U to see the keyframes. Select the keyframes, hold Alt and Control and switch them to hold keyframe. Then I'm going to jump a few frames forward like so, and make sure to change the value of these two to 5%, just so that we can get a little bit of displacement here. Okay, jump a few frames forward, maybe 3 frames or so, set them back to 0, and then go right here and change the translate X to around 65%. Also at the same time, make sure to change the edge behavior from none to repeat. So we have a repeating pattern, and now you can see we have a much more dynamic glitch look, but we are going to take this a step further. Let's go at around 1 second and 10 frames, and let's set them back to 5%, just like so, and then go to 2 seconds and 5 frames, set them back to 0. So we have a very random glitch at the moment, but we are building up the complete glitch scene here. Now let's animate the rotation of the glitch, which is the coolest part, I think, of this animation. So let's place the time indicator to somewhere around there with this keyframes and create a keyframe on the rotation. I'm going to select the layer, hit U. So these keyframes are going to be our normal linear keyframes. And also I'm going to create a keyframe on the scale. So now it has created a whole keyframe. So again, switch back to normal. I'm going to hold Control and Alt and click on this. So now we have normal keyframes. So let's go right here, somewhere around there, and increase the rotation. So let's rotate this like that. So let's set this to around maybe 150 should be good. And then go right here and set this back to 0. And then go right over here. Let's scale this up a little bit. So something like this. And right here, I'm going to set this back to 100. So right over here, let's set this to 110. So now we have this kind of rotation, which looks pretty cool. Now select the keyframes. You can hit F9 or go into keyframe assistant, ease them, go into the graph and make sure your snap is turned on. Select this keyframe, hold shift and drag this handle to the left and this one to the left as well. Select these keyframes and drag the handle to the right and this one to the right as well. So now we have a very interesting motion. So now if I preview this, you can see we have this really cool look, which I really like. And right over here, I'm going to select everything, hold Alt and right square bracket to crop them up. And right here, I'm going to add the text too. And let's actually animate the text too. So I'm going to rotate this a little bit, maybe around 7 degrees or so. Create a keyframe, go to 3 seconds and set this back to 0. Select the keyframes, go into keyframe assistant, easy ease them, go into the graph, and yeah, make sure you're working in the edit speed graph and not in the reference or value graph. Let's pull them like that, and now we have something like so. So we have this kind of a snap here. Maybe I can go right here and then crop them up, and boom. So now we have something that finishes up properly. Yeah, so that is the kind of look I'm going for. So this is the base of our animation. Now let's select the displacement or adjustment layer that we have here, and let's color our glitch. So to do that, I'm going to use Triton. So double click to apply this, and let's go back so we can see our glitch. So for the highlight, I'm gonna go with a nice teal color. For the midtones, I'll go with a dark purple color, and for the shadows, I'll go with a kind of a hot pink color. So this colors look really cool on a glitch. I think looks pretty good. And for this, just to make it look a bit more interesting, I can do the same thing here, just to add a dual color tone here. So I'm gonna again select the teal one for this, and for this I'll select the hot pink one. So we have a very nice and cool look. Pretty cool. So there we have our amazing dynamic looking glitch. Now the next part of this tutorial is where we use another plugin, which is a paid plugin. It's called Deep Glow. But if you don't want to use Deep Glow, you can of course continue with our default glow. All you have to do is select the displacement layer, go into effects and preset, search for glow, and add our normal glow that we get with After Effects. So if I go right here, I can play around with this. So I can set this somewhere around there, increase the radius and increase the intensity, and get a really nice look. Looks pretty cool. But I'm gonna use Deep Glow. If you want, you can use the default glow as well. So I'm gonna go and search for Deep Glow. Again, this plugin is a paid plugin from Plugin and Everything, but I would definitely recommend you guys to go ahead and check it out. It is a super amazing plugin, and it helps us to create some very nice glows. I can even go into chromatic aberration and add some very nice chromatic aberration if I want to. Something like 15 or so should be good. Then I'm going to make sure to switch to 16 bits. So hold Alt and click on the small button. So it's going to help us to switch to 16 bits. Let's actually bring down the glow intensity to 0.5. And what I'm going to do is animate this. So let's go right over here. Let's hit U so we can see the keyframes. Go right here. Create a keyframe on the exposure. Go right here at the end and set this to 1. So now we have something like this. And let's add the deep glow on this one as well. So hit Ctrl C, Ctrl V to paste it. Remove the keyframe from the exposure, and yeah, set this to, okay, go right here, set this to 1. Create a keyframe, go back to 3 seconds and set this to 0.2 or 0.3 or something like that. That looks good. Hit U, select the keyframes, keyframe assistant, easy ease, graph, and let's pull this like so. So let's preview this, and it should hit properly, I think. Boom. Yeah, that is looking very nice and snappy. Maybe I will tweak the glow a little bit, probably bring down the glow radius or something like that. There are a lot of different properties to play around with. Like we can adjust the threshold and stuff. We can also adjust the quality. In the style, we have gamma correction and a lot of different properties, but I think we are good for now. So now let's preview our complete animation. So yeah, I think it is looking pretty cool now. Again, this is a very abstract glitch effect. You can do number of different things, like you can anytime add more dynamic look to this. For example, you can play around with the displacement. I can even increase this to get a really different look. So if I again go right here, I will have a different glitch displacement. I can go right here, maybe I can increase this, and altogether I can make this very random, as you can see, and make it as complex as I want. So I would definitely say that you should go ahead and play around with this effect, and the final result is quite amazing. You can use it as a logo animation as well and use it in a number of different projects, I think. So that is all for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and press that bell icon so you always get notified. And you can also follow me on Instagram at dope.motions. The link is in the description below. And if you're feeling generous, make sure to support us on Patreon by just contributing $1. And if you guys are interested in learning about logo animations, intros, or title animations, I have a complete playlist for you, which you should definitely check it out. All the links are in the description below. With that said, I will see you guys in the next video. Till then, take care and always stay raw, stay creative.